welcome back. Here at Bike Week, stuck in typical Bike Week traffic. But that's okay, we're heading over to their destination Daytona at Teddy Morse's Harley-Davidson to talk with Buell, get a Buell update. It's been a year. If you recall, last year this time I met with Vice President of Sales Chris Pobans. He was kind enough to give me an interview on the launch of Buell Super Cruiser. And we've had a couple updates since that time last year. One was that they raised a lot of money off of those $50 pre-order deposits. Basically, for $50, you got a slot assigned to you for your opportunity to purchase a 2025 Buell Super Cruiser. As I speculated at the end of that video on my vlog, I said, you know, they're probably using that money for seed money in some way. And basically the seed money guess was correct. They used it to fund their ability to outfit 2 prototype models with accessories. Accessories that they have access to with manufacturers that are able to build the accessories in a volume consistent with what they feel that they're going to be able to sell in units. That's not something that Roland Sands is really into. Maybe he is, I don't know, but we're going to find out what brands of accessories they've chosen and hopefully get some more inside information at their booth here at Bike Week, where both of these prototype models are on display, plus the original concept bike. They released a couple pictures of them, so I can, basically tell from the picture that you have 2 different exhaust looks. One's a high swept exhaust and one's kind of low swept. I did a survey on my Instagram and YouTube community page on which ones you guys thought was better looking. Very cool. When in Rome. And you guys unanimously pretty much felt that the underswept exhaust was way better. And I agree with that assessment. I think the underswept exhaust is the way to go. Otherwise you got this, what kind of looks like the Pan America exhaust. But they got to be EPA compliant, so you got to do what you got to do to get the bike out on the market. And sometimes that makes for funky looking exhaust. What I'm most curious about is what's going to give for the bikes come production time. They're not all going to look like the Roland Sands prototype. And there's some price creep going up in the press. We talked about 20 to 25,000. Now I've heard 25 to under 30. So the more we get over 25, the higher the bar is for me to say this is a good deal. We must rev. It's Bike Week, baby, gotta rev. Hell yeah. All right, let's get to the Buell booth and see what's going on. Hey guys, Kenny Quest. I'm here at the Buell booth at Bike Week Daytona 2024, and I am accompanied by Matthew Carpenter, engineer for Buell Motorcycles. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you for having me.
And so last year, if you were on the channel, you saw that we introduced the Buell Super Cruiser concept. And what Buell has done is, at that point, is they got with Roland Sands and created this kick-ass concept bike that threw the world in its heavy. Everybody's like, wow, the Super Cruiser is gonna be awesome. Now that the sugar high has dropped a little bit, and things have been kind of quiet, but if you signed up for a pre-order slot, you did get some emails throughout the year. And what they were telling us was they're working on production prototypes. And here we are at Bike Week, and we have 2 production prototypes for viewing to the public, and also the original concept bike. Walk me through some of the new things, or the things that you guys have done to the concept bike to transfer it into a production bike. What parts have you redesigned and changed for the Super Cruiser?
Yeah, so Roland Sands bike was a very badass looking bike, but it was an art piece. So everything was very custom and race oriented to look very cool. But that's not necessarily manufacturable in high quantities. So things like the frame needed slight tweaks, but we kept the same overall look. We tweaked the radiator. We also have the exhaust system that's carryover from our other models.
Okay, so things like the Hammerhead,
SX, and the Super Touring all have the same exact exhaust system as the Super Cruiser.
To me, what that tells me is that keeps the price down. You're not going to have to create some kind of new exhaust just for the Super Cruiser.
That is exactly right.
And the target price is still
under 30,000.
Under 30,000. So it started out 2025, and then everybody's like, okay, 25 to 30. So realistically, we're looking at someplace between 25 and 30.
It's mid to high 20s.
Okay, fantastic. So we have radiator, we have exhaust, we have frame. What about any of the indicators and things like that?
Lots of the turn signals are carryover. We are also using the same headlight as the Super Touring, which is again bomb reuse. Tail light, we also have bomb reuse from the Hammerhead and the SX. We're trying to keep many things as cost efficient as possible for the company, and people are going to change them to make it their own style anyway.
Right. We also heard about last year they were going to try to develop some parts and accessories that would be available at launch or shortly thereafter.
Yep.
Maybe some type of a travel pack, two-up accommodations.
Yep.
Any progress on those accessories?
Yeah, so currently displayed we have passenger foot pegs on the bike. This isn't a passenger seat, but we do plan to offer a passenger seat as an upgrade. We wanted to show that we have passenger foot peg plans, and that's what we're doing.
I assume there's been no adjustment necessary for the engine, the power plant, the transmission, anything like that?
There is a slight detune from the Hammerhead and SX. It doesn't have quite as much horsepower. We had to eliminate the dual injector system from the airbox to keep that height down on top of the engine. So it does not have quite as much horsepower as the Hammerhead and SX, but other than that, it's the same engine.
Okay. Do you know off the top of your head the revised number?
175 horsepower.
Okay. And how much torque?
Around 100 foot-pounds.
Okay. All right. So it's still very much a high-performance machine.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Super Cruiser, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's a Super Cruiser.
Let's talk about the electrics. You know, last time I was here, it still had the EBR. It wasn't a touch panel, but a kind of a era 2014 scroll up, scroll down, enter.
Yep.
What's changed on the control interface?
So we updated the display. It now says Buell. There's Buell badging on the display. It's still the same electronics program.
Same software program.
Same software program.
Now, I heard that you might be looking at doing an update to the software program. With what I saw was a big open canvas of opportunity.
Yep.
And I assumed that you were going to kind of take that, reel that back a little bit, but still give some custom modes.
We would like to offer upgraded electronics. It's a huge investment at this point, and we need bikes in the market before we can invest into things like the electronics and
The coders, the people that can code and all that stuff.
We're focused on other things, trying to build our brand back before we invest too much money into the finer things.
Right. And we've seen where some, firmware updates can kind of backfire on you from other manufacturers in the past.
Absolutely.
With when they introduce new technology. What have we missed that's new when we're looking at these prototypes?
Well, these prototypes have Olin's front suspension. That will not be a production component. That's strictly just for prototyping and testing.
Have you looked at other manufacturers, Nissan, Showa? Have you talked with anybody?
We are talking with other suspension manufacturers, but we do not have...
you haven't solidified anybody?
We're not making public who we're partnering with at this point.
But you're in negotiations.
Absolutely.
The ink's not dry, hasn't even been signed, but you're farther along, and you want to keep that under wraps. That's good.
Yep.
Would it be a known brand that someone might know?
I would say people would know the brand.
Okay. So Matthew Carpenter, engineer at Buell, has given us a lot of answers. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hope I didn't throw any hardballs at you.
No, that was great.
But I really appreciate your time and Buell's willingness to work with the community to kind of unveil things as they happen and not keep them under wraps. We really do appreciate that as enthusiasts. I'm sure that you would agree that a Buell customer is very much a motorcycle enthusiast.
Oh, yeah. They're diehards.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys, that's it from Daytona Beach 2024 at the Buell booth. We'll see you on the next segment. Alright, I'm heading back from Daytona Beach, back home to Orlando. I've had some time to collect my thoughts and put a bow around this little update for you guys. And I kind of knew this was going to be the case, that, you know, they presented us with this concept bike from Roland Sands, had a lot of cool parts on it, aesthetic, go fast parts, so forth. But they're not cost effective, and they're not going to pass whatever inspection they need to pass in order to allow the bike to be sold in North America. So the exhaust, he confirmed off camera that it's going to be that vertical upswept exhaust. However, they did show an alternative exhaust that they're going to have available, and he said it's going to cost around $700. Little shorty stub exhaust. You saw that the levers are chrome levers, nothing fancy, no shorty performance levers. And so what's happening is Buell is going to the parts bin to add parts to the bike for production that are on the other bikes in their line, which is very cost effective, and that's fine. If I'm a business owner, I definitely want to leverage what investment I currently have in parts. And of course, they made some modifications to the frame so it's easier to service with this junction that they fabricated in the frame. And I believe the engine's a structural component of the frame, so you got to have access to certain parts and modifications. My concern, though, is that when they're said and done, do we have a $25,000 to a $30,000 bike? Or within one model year, we'll hardly come out with the 25th anniversary of the FXR4, call it the FXR 5-25. And all of a sudden, whatever Buell is doing is going to be deemed irrelevant because Harley's come out with something at $22,000 to $25,000 based on the Pan America 1250 Revolution Max engine or some kind of air-cooled 131 powerhouse. I know Harley Davidson's watching this, not with a casual eye, but with a concerned and qualified eye, that if this Super Cruiser takes off and they sell 5,000 to 6,000 units in a year, which is what everybody thinks they'll do based on what we've seen so far, not reconciled against the information that we're getting now, which is a lot more parts bin parts going on these bikes than cool parts. Just because they have to get the bike out to the people, and a lot of these parts that we saw on the concept bike just are not going to be possible. So it's going to be interesting to see. Pardon me, coming through. Thank you. Yeah, let's get over to the far left. So let me know down in the comments what y'all think about this information that the engineers provided for me. And if Buell's watching, thank you so much for having Matthew spend some time with me. You know, I could have talked to Bill Melvin. He was accessible to me with an appointment. And I decided I wanted to talk to someone who's involved with the current process. You know, that is picking out and fitting parts on it that will work for the Buell Super Cruiser for its release. You know, it's time where we get the facts and why decisions are being made for what they are. And the engineer was able to provide that for us. So as relevant, significant news comes about for the Buell Super Cruiser, I'll do updates. So please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll keep you guys abreast. The next step, from what I understand, is they're going to invite some folks out to Michigan once they get farther along, probably about 6 months. And we're going to test ride, and I say we because I'm hoping to be invited. We're going to test ride final prototype versions and give them feedback on how it's performing on the road, performing on the track, and so on and so forth. So be interested to see that come out in the future. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. And if you haven't seen my Buell Super Cruiser update from last year, you might want to get up to speed on that. I got it right here in the corner, upper right-hand corner. So click that, and I'll see you there. Take care.